Welcome back to 360 Success Coach, and I'm Dr. Knight, and we have a treat today, and hopefully for the next few episodes, the lady that needs no introduction, my lovely bride of almost 34 years now, 33 and a half years, it's Amy Knight.
Hi, everybody.
And today we're going to be talking about the myth of fixing your spouse. So, like I said, hopefully we can have her around. She's very busy, but I'm going to start a little mini series here on marriage, because that's one of the foundations is family, and the foundation of the family is the marriage. And I want to challenge something most people believe even without realizing it. And most people think that the key to a better marriage is finding ways to fix their spouse. Do you have any comments on that? I mean, you never had to fix anything in me or wanted to, because
Are you going to cut that out?
no, I mean, we're going.
Well, I think too, you hear a podcast or a sermon, and it's about fixing, and all you can think about is the other person. Like,
Yeah.
that is so about him.
You're like, you're preaching to my spouse. Keep going. That's a good one. And your spouse is thinking the same thing.
But for you.
Right. Things like if they only communicated better, or if they were more affectionate, then things would be better, or that would fix this problem. Or if they were more driven, then everything would just, would work.
Initiates.
Yeah. But the truth is there's kind of a theme here that when a flower doesn't bloom, you don't fix the flower, you fix the soil.
Nice little imagery.
Well, the soil in marriage is the environment that we are creating in our relationship. So it's hard for it to blossom if we're not doing the groundwork and creating the right environment.
Well, and as you're alluding to with flowers, you can plant a flower and it do very well this spring, and then next spring comes around and it's got a fungus or something, and so it's not just a one and done.
Oh, that's good.
You gotta keep nurturing the soil. You might have to change where it's planted. Maybe it needs to have less sun, more sun.
Yeah, it's kind of like that old saying, that farmer or whatever, his wife was complaining to their pastor about he's not affectionate, doesn't tell me he loves me or whatever. And he's like, I told you I loved you when we got married, and I'll let you know if anything changes.
I forgot about that.
Probably not the best way to go about that. But we're going to dive into the myth of fixing your spouse and how that mindset will quietly erode or undermine your relationship. So let's break it down. When we focus on fixing your spouse, what you're really saying is you are the problem. Like they are the problem, not the problem is the problem.
Remember the finger pointing?
Yeah. You point one, there's at least three pointing back. Two. Yeah. Depends on how you point, but.
You gotta look at yourself instead of looking at them.
Right.
Like, what am I creating
and
to cause that reaction or response?
Right. Well, sometimes we don't even say it out loud. We just have this, it shows up in our tone, our body language or whatever, and just lets the other person know that something's wrong with you or you're not meeting my expectation.
Are we hiding the ruler?
Yeah. The measuring stick. We've talked about that before. They have to know what their expectation is to measure up to.
Okay. So let's tell the story about when we first got married. And I would assume when I was coming in with groceries, you would know to get up and help me and put it all up. Or assume that you knew to help me with laundry. And so I'd stomp louder, close and open cabinets louder.
Yeah, and I'd be watching TV or something. And,
I think it was Star Trek.
And didn't even know you were in the house. Yeah, Nintendo or something.
Yeah, basketball.
Yeah, which you ended up selling in a garage sale without my approval.
That's not true. Anyway, but what we learn in counseling after thousands of dollars is she's like, you have to click his mouse.
And get my attention.
And get his attention.
And ask for what you want. And
guess what?
It worked.
It worked.
It's like, or you text me now and you're like, hey, honey, I'm 5 minutes out. I'll be there. I got the car loaded down from Sam's or something like that. And I'm usually outside or just, I'll see you pull up and I'm out there. And the boys too, when they're at home.
But my thinking previously was he is a grown man. I should not have to tell him to come help me. Why can't he see it?
Well, it's probably because I just didn't see it, because my heart was not to, obviously, and I tell people this all the time. Why in the world would I do something that I know is going to make you mad? So
Well, that's if you want the house cleaned. We've already figured that out.
she cleans when she gets mad. So, but basically, here's what happened. Here's what happens. Basically, here's what happens.
Tell them what happens.
I think I'll tell you what happens. People don't grow in environments where they feel like a project. They grow in environments where they feel accepted, safe, and supported.
As they are.
That's right. But let's be clear. We're not saying ignore real issues because sometimes there are things that, yes, they are a problem and they need to be fixed. So,
You have to talk about it. You can't just have this narrative running or a movie in your head that either is not realistic and that you're going to go in this fairy tale and they're eventually going to change and you're living in a not real place, or it's the negative side of the story. They're never going to change. They're never going to love me because that's going to be, like you said, projected in your talks, in your environment, and your exchanges.
right. So we're not ignoring real issues, but the good marriages, the ones that end up healthy, learn to ask better questions and kind of analyze things differently. And so, really, the good question here is what kind of environment am I creating right now? And are we creating right now? And am I creating tension or am I creating peace? We're not saying avoid tension or conflict, but the goal is to ultimately create peace in an environment where a relationship can thrive. Am I creating pressure or am I creating support? Am I constantly criticizing or am I understanding? Because your spouse's behavior is often a reflection of the environment that they're living in.
Mm.
And that's a two-way street. I'm not saying it's one spouse or the other. Oftentimes it's the crazy cycle, they just it's the love and respect thing. You act disrespectful, I act unloving. I act unloving, you act disrespectful. And it destroys the environment. And you have to be very intentional to change that. So think about this. If you feel constantly judged by me, what happens? Does that make you draw close to me?
No,
It makes you
create space.
create
Tension.
space and shut down
Yes.
emotionally.
Yeah.
Um, if you feel like I'm constantly trying to control you, what happens?
Don't like that either.
There's some resistance,
Yes, and
right?
I'm gonna not be happy and be probably irritable and
Well, here's a big one for you. If you feel unappreciated, or I don't say thank you, or overall you just don't feel appreciated, what does that do?
yeah, my bank account is real low. And then get to where I don't wanna do anything anymore. If you're not gonna appreciate it, then I'm gonna stop doing all the
But
things.
again, I'm asking that to you, but it's the same,
Right.
and we're very intentional about that. Hey, I appreciate you making dinner tonight or fixing that salad. That was amazing. We're both good about that. Hey, thanks. And it's routine stuff a lot of times, but just saying thank you, let you know, hey, I noticed that you filled up the coffee pot.
But that again was thousands of dollars in counseling.
But still, we're very intentional with
Yes.
that. And it's helpful to know they notice the little things.
Right, because we noticed that we changed the soil and the flower grew a lot better being intentional
Yep.
versus just like, whatever.
So sometimes the very thing that creates the frustration that you might have toward your spouse isn't just them or a character flaw per se. It's the environment that you've helped create where they are not flourishing. And as believers, that's one thing that w- we're responsible for. Is I believe creating that environment where our relationship can flourish.
For sure. And, when you're newlyweds, it is difficult to discern that environment because you're still new and you have your family's way of doing things and he has his way of how he was brought up. And so having the conversation of what is that going to look like and how are we going to operate in our home? What environment are we going to create? Because then and you got kids and they're watching, they're taking notes, and then eventually they're going to have their houses. So it's a cycle. You can go in a good pattern or not so good pattern.
So instead of just trying to fix the other person and you need to do this, you need to do that, or you always and you never, those are
No.
dangerous words, by the way. Take that out of your vocabulary in your
Yeah,
relationships. You always, you never, because no one always and no one absolutely never anything. I mean, those just aren't true statements. So instead of trying to fix them, ask, what am I contributing to what I'm experiencing? And that's where the real power is because you can't control your spouse, but you absolutely can influence the environment. And when
yeah.
the environment changes,
Kind of like leaders bring the weather.
yeah, leaders bring the weather. You set the tone.
Hmm.
But when the environment changes, people start to change. So here's the challenge today. Stop trying to fix your spouse and start trying to fix the soil. Pay attention to your tone, your energy, and your presence because the healthiest marriages aren't the ones that don't have problems. They're not the ones that have everything together, but they're the ones that are intentional and they build it on cultivation, making sure that the soil is right. And we're going to keep building on this in the next episode.
I was just thinking about
Oh,
my back flower bed. It's beautiful flowers, but I have to go out there and weed it about once a week.
yeah. Yeah. Those things just seem to pop up. And I tell you what, you go a month without it and
It could overtake my flowers.
they could, and then choke them out. And then you don't have the pretty stuff. So, all right. We'll see you next time. And listen, if you get something out of this, please like it and share it and subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So,
Hmm, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Cool.
talk to you next time.